I cannot support this withdrawal.
Angus MacNeil.
Top life, Mr. Speaker. I rise to speak on what is today the 96th birthday of the United Kingdom. The United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland started 96 years ago today. And I think back to John Major talking about 1,000 years of British history. That was in the 80s. I've longed to utter the words and make people like him realise the UK is not as old as he thinks at all. Mr. Speaker, we're in what I would call a Laurel and Hardy situation here with Brexit. In the 96th birthday of the United Kingdom, it's clear that Brexit is crazy, it's silly, it's nuts, it's wacky, it's cuckoo, it's potty, it's daft, it's cracked, it's dippy, it's bonkers. The list goes on to define Brexit. In Gaelic, you could say Gorach, Fún, Amachach, Cúchar, Idvol. The list again goes on. But what we're seeing, Mr. Speaker, is a UK that will struggle as a result of this nonsense to see its 100th birthday. As the Chancellor laid out in his speech earlier, Brexit will have opportunity costs. He gave us 5 scenarios. It's down to 2 scenarios with Brexit. The PM has given the UK really a choice between a deal or no deal. Economic damage of between 3.4 and 6.4%, or the no deal of 6.3 to 9% of GDP. And each percentage point of GDP is up to £26 billion, Mr. Speaker. By contrast, the 2008 crash was a 2% event. So we're talking about a loss of jobs in these percentage points, a loss of wages, loss of prosperity, housing, infrastructure, taxation for health funding, taxation for education funding, and what have you. And how does this happen, Mr. Speaker? Well, there's a few examples. For instance, Toyota take 50 lorries a day to cross the Channel to come to factories in Derbyshire with a 4-hour lead-in time. If there's snarlops at the border, this isn't going to happen. Honda, it's 200. No wonder the Japanese Prime Minister is concerned, no wonder the Japanese companies are concerned, and no wonder the diplomats of Japan here in the UK are concerned. We should be concerned too. It's going to affect our lambs, it's going to affect our shellfish, it's going to affect our cattle, and it's going to affect a lot of our exports, as chemical companies like BASF are well aware of work in my constituency. And for those who suggest use posts like Zeebrugge rather than Calais, take longer to do the same thing. The UK is already laggard in productivity. To go and take longer to do the same thing will make matters worse. Yeah. Why are we in this situation? Well, the Prime Minister made contradictory promises. She said we're out of the customs union and single market, and she said there'd be no border in Ireland. Something had to give, and as we know now from the loss of support from the DUP, she reneged on them. She had to, because there was a catastrophe coming down the way. And one of the funny things is, with Brexiteers, they all want Brexit, but they don't want it in March, because they know full well the damage Brexit's about to do. So while they want Brexit in their wild abstractions, they do not want to see Brexit come in this March, because they know what Brexit is going to do. And Brexit will be economically damaging to everybody in the United Kingdom. And it's a folly for us that we're stuck in the United Kingdom as a result. In this crazy fantasy, 96 years later, the Irish are delighted they have left. And for those who voted no in Scotland, there is an awakening going on. Those who voted in 2014, and that is without a campaign. And incidentally, snp.org/join if you want. People are seeing the two unions differently. One is a union of independent nations of Europe meeting as equals. The UK now knows the muscle of independent Ireland and Varadkar, with 26 behind him, in a regional trade agreement. Leaving that union is tearing up trading arrangements. By contrast, when Scotland leaves the United Kingdom, we will merely be completing devolution, moving political powers from here to Edinburgh, closer to the people. And had we left in 2014, Mr. Speaker, this folly and nonsense of Brexit would not have happened. Exactly. Brexit, in actual fact, overturns the will of the Scottish people. It does not respect Scotland, the result of the votes of the Scottish people. Brexit shows epic misgovernance of England. So what chance Scotland when England can't govern themselves well? The escaped Irish have belly laughs, and their biggest wind-up is to go on television at various points of crisis at this moment and tell the UK to stay calm. Back in Tipperary, in Waterford, in Galway, they're laughing because they know exactly what it means to tell London to stay calm. The UK has very many problems, and it's of its own making. They have crashed the Rolls-Royce, and the Prime Minister is trying to tell them the choice now is to go down the second-hand car shop and choose a second-hand car or a moped. It is an absolute mess, Mr. Speaker. David Schneider, the comedian, said today, in 2016, the Brexiteers said, take back control, make Parliament sovereign. On Twitter yesterday, Lord Digby Brown was saying, beware the tyranny of Parliament. As Laurel and Hardy said, Mr. Speaker, what a fine mess they have got themselves into.
Sir Oliver here.